What miracles have you seen on set? What miracles, as you're in this pool swimming, have come to fruition?
Well, we have actually a phrase for it because it happens so frequently. We call them Red Sea moments. They're moments where, the production, the team, whatever, they're at their wits' end. They're literally there on the cliffside being like, there's no way out. The Pharaoh is closing in and we just have to surrender. And in those moments, the seas part and God creates a way. It's happened so many times. And from, literally like the weather inexplicably clearing up or, a technical issue finally getting solved and whatever it is. But I would say from a general sense that the miracles that we're seeing is that for the first time in film and entertainment history, we have a project that is resonating with people like our show has been. And that we somehow brought all of these elements together that are making it work. And that's the writing, it's the production, it's the directing, it's the acting, it's the moment with kind of the authentic casting of actually having a Jesus that isn't just a white GQ model. We actually have somebody who looks like what Jesus might have looked like back in those days. And the perfect performer. Jonathan is the only one who didn't need to audition because he had that relationship with Dallas from doing a short film with him as Jesus 4 years prior. And when Dallas was going to do The Chosen, he's like, I already know the guy. And so what are the chances of that you would have that the most important character in that show, you don't even need to cast for it because you already know the perfect person to do that. And so there's just so many things like that. And then the courage that Dallas and his team have had to take creative license and use their imagination and be willing to subject themselves to criticism and pushback and all of that because people are so justifiably sensitive around anything being added to Scripture. But that's why they open up the whole show with a disclaimer that says, this is not a replacement for the Bible. If we do our job right, you're going to go back to the Bible and go to the Word. This is a television show, but we're not going to try to violate Scripture. We're going to really try to hold this responsibility, to the best we possibly can. And they have a Messianic rabbi, a Catholic priest, and an evangelical pastor that read all the scripts and advise them on it. Dallas and his wife are believers. Dallas went to school for his faith up at what I think Northwestern Bible College in the state of Minnesota, where I'm from. So the team that's all behind the show hold the Word with such reverence that if anybody was going to undertake this project and take creative license, it's got to be that team. And over all the years and all the success, I have not seen it change Dallas a bit. It hasn't gone to his head. He leads with such humility. He leads knowing that we're here to serve him and that we can't give in to the pressures socially to change what it is that we're doing. When he sits across from the biggest media companies on the planet, like Amazon, that's now our exclusive kind of streaming partner, they said on the live stream, we went in and said, here's all the reasons you shouldn't work with us. We're not going to give you creative control. We're not going to let you do this, that, whatever. And Amazon's like, we don't want to do any of that. We just want to help you reach 1 billion people. And so just all of the things that have come up, they're all a miracle. Like this whole thing that's happening, the fact that our show is now the most translated show in the world, and by the time we're done, 95% of the planet will be able to hear the show in their native language, which has never been done before. And so that's because a lot of people can't read, so you can't even do subtitles. You have to actually have it in a dubbed, format. So yeah, in terms of like the miracles we've seen, the whole thing is just so unlikely that it's not us.
And the same thing I was thinking, like, I don't believe in coincidence, right? Like, there is no coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. And I was specifically thinking about The Chosen and when The Chosen was launched and what the world was going through. And, the Lord knows, right? He knows he knows what he's doing, right? He's got a plan. And there was just absolutely no coincidence that the world was looking for something, right? They were looking to find that light somehow. And The Chosen, boom, right? It appears. And the amount of people that just gravitated towards it was just as astounding. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't The Chosen like number one, or it's like top 10 in Amazon right now, right?
Yeah, it definitely has hit number one. It's still in the top 10. It's even the story of how it came to be is unlikely,
right?
Because the fact that it's a completely independent crowdfunded show.
Yeah.
That's why we could continue producing the show during the strikes, is because it's not owned by any of the major studios. Right. It's why we have the creative independence we do is because we don't need to like appeal to any other corporate entity for what it is we want to do. The people themselves have funded it from the very beginning. There was no crowd-funded project in media that had raised more than $5 or $6 million up until that time, and it was existing kind of entertainment properties like Mystery Science Theater 3000, Veronica Mars, and so the idea that we were going to come along, partner with this new company no one's heard of, VidAngel,
Yeah.
that didn't have any money and was fighting the big studios and on the verge of bankruptcy, that was like, yeah, hey, why don't we do a crowdfunding campaign? Because it just became law that you can equity fundraise, from people who aren't accredited investors. And so suddenly Dallas is like, I had a deal with Blumhouse, which is one of the big production houses in Hollywood. My movie just failed. I'm now the media director for my church in Illinois, and somehow we're going to raise enough money to shoot a high quality television series. I think the quote is like, we'll be lucky if we raise $800, let alone anything else.
Yeah.
And before they knew it, they had $4 million to shoot 4 episodes, which we did in the fall of 2018. And off the strength of those 4 episodes, we raised another 6 to finish the first season, which we shot in the summer of 2019. And then another miracle that happened was the idea that VidAngel had from the beginning was we'll charge a $30 monthly subscription to watch the show on our platform. And they weren't having a lot of success with that because people are like, who are you? Why would I give you $30 a month? Why are you charging for access to a show about the Lord? And so they took a leap of faith in that winter and said, fine, we'll create this thing called Pay It Forward, where the show's completely free. And if you like it, you can pay for other people to see it.
And that just
and the contributions skyrocketed. The average contribution was 60 some odd dollars, which means people were paying way more voluntarily than they would have paid if they just paid the $30 to watch it. And so that was another thing where we never had to look back at that point. And then after season 2, we had Come and See Foundation come in, which basically guaranteed that we'd be able to produce our show without any waiting for all the crowdfunding money to come in. They would do the stopgap funding to make sure we could keep going. And now our budgets are like, $50 million a season, which is like, crazy considering we started with no money. And you can see it in every frame, how gorgeous it looks, our locations, our costumes, our cast, all this stuff. So how did a little web series with no money use crowdfunding to become the #1 show on the planet? That's not an accident.
No.
No.